few weeks ago, I made a video on creating basically a fabric from layers of tissue paper stuck together with matte medium and added with paint in a variety of different ways. You could use acrylics, you could use fluids or inks, and the beauty of it is that it wrinkles up and creates some interesting patterns. I'm going to demonstrate how to create a small floral collage on paper and the easy steps to doing that. You're going to need, of course, some tissue paper, and I've torn mine up into lots of pieces for the leaves and for the petals. The background is gel printed paper, and I've added some marks, lines to define the shapes with a gel pen. You could use a micron pigment pen. You'll need a glue stick, and I like to use a piece of paper to put the tissue on and add the glue. My first step is to create the table or the shelf in the background so that the vase has a stable area to sit. And I've done this with the gel fabric or gel paper and torn a line to give some. And the next step is to, for now, just figure out where my vase is going to sit, and then add a couple small marks with a pencil so that I know I'm going to add this later after I've added some of the leaves. What I try and do with this tissue paper is to add different shades or values of the color. So I've got a couple of greens, and in the other ones I've got pinks and yellows and so on. At this point, I like to go back into on the leaves, being careful. These are a bit soft from the glue, so make sure you give it time to dry before you start marking it up. But at this point, I like to go in and add some definition to the leaves, and I'm just giving it some rough lines in here. I like to add a bit more later on, but I'm keeping it very loose. You could try going over it a bit with maybe some acrylic paints or inks. And I know a lot of the lines that I'm adding right now will be covered. At this point, I want to place the vase, but I also need to create a bit of a shadow on the shelf. So I'm just going to go in and plus a couple of leaves on the table. Now I've added some more defined lines with my gel marker, and the next step is to add the flowers. The first one I did was actually rather more planned and static, but I'm just going to be a little more random with the petals. The shapes are a little more relaxed. I think I'm just about finished with this one. The first one that I did had some really defined petals there, and I had put centers in the flowers. This one is going to be a little more random, and so I did try and go in with a colored gel pen, but I just did not get the clarity that I wanted. So I'm just going back in with that black and adding And there, I think I'm finished now. Here is the finished piece. It's kind of cute. I'm happy with it. It'll be a nice little piece, maybe framed, give as a gift. But I also wanted to show how to figure out how to crop this. And certainly you can do it with your camera and just do a little bit of editing. But I have these pieces of black that I had cut from a matte frame. And what I like about these is because they're two separate pieces, I can go in and see where I want to crop it and what it might look like. You can make these certainly as big as large as you want, but the idea is that if I had a smaller piece, I could actually get in much more detail. I could in different ways and showcase different parts of it. So here are 3 different editions of our little exercise. This was the first one I did, and I can see some issues with it, but of course it was just a practice piece. This was one that I demonstrated in a workshop, online workshop, and so I only got partly through it, but it's certainly to a point where I could go and finish it off and have a second piece. And this is the piece here that we have all done. Thanks for joining in and look forward to sharing some more information with you.
Soundstripe.